The universe guides you toward greatness through one fundamental principle. Imagination creates reality. This is not poetry or metaphor, but the most practical of all practical facts. The world you perceive externally is nothing more than your own consciousness pushed out. Every circumstance, every person, every detail of your life exists first within you before it manifests without. Tonight, I wish to impress upon you that the universe, that infinite intelligence, some call God, is not separate from you, directing your path from afar. Rather, it is your own wonderful human imagination, that divine faculty within you that creates and sustains all that you experience. Your imagination is God in action, and through its proper use, you manifest greatness beyond measure. Consider for a moment what imagination truly is. It is not idle fantasy or wishful thinking. It is the very substance of reality, the creative power through which all things are made. When you imagine, you are literally tuning into the frequency of creation itself. You are participating in the divine act of bringing forth worlds. Now listen carefully, for what I am about to tell you contradicts everything you have been taught about causation. You have been told that what you observe in the outer world is the cause of your inner states, that poverty causes you to feel poor, that illness causes you to feel unwell, that loneliness causes you to feel unloved. This is entirely backward. Your inner states, your assumptions, your dominant feelings, these are the causes of all other conditions. The universe guides you by responding unerringly to your state of consciousness. If you persist in the feeling of being wealthy, the outer world must reshape itself to match that inner conviction. If you dwell in the assumption of perfect health, your body will conform. If you live from the state of being deeply loved, relationships will transform, or new ones will appear to reflect that state. This is law as certain as gravity. It cannot fail, for consciousness is the only reality and all else is merely a shadow. The outer world has no choice but to mirror faithfully what you hold to be true in consciousness. This is how the universe guides you, not by external signs or omens, but by the perfect correlation between your inner and outer worlds. Now, many of you sit here tonight wondering if this is true. Why have my dreams not manifested? Why does greatness elude me? The answer is both simple and profound. You have not yet fully occupied the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. You visit it occasionally in imagination, but you do not live there. You do not sleep in that state night after night, feeling its reality so intensely that experience anything else would seem impossible. Let me share with you the perfect technique for manifesting greatness. Before you sleep each night, bring your attention completely to the end, the fulfillment of your desire. See it not as something that will happen in some vague future, but as something that has already happened. Feel the satisfaction, the relief, the joy of attainment. Ask yourself, how would I feel if my desire were already a fact? Then capture that feeling and fall asleep in it. In that drowsy state between waking and sleeping, your conscious mind relaxes its guard and your subconscious becomes impressionable. What you impress upon it then must objectify in your world. This is not suggestion or self-hypnosis in the ordinary sense. This is entering the state of the wish fulfilled, and your subconscious mind, which is God in you, will move heaven and earth to externalize that state. Remember always that creation is finished. All possible states exist now. You do not create your desired state. You simply select it by occupying it in imagination. When you enter a state in consciousness, you automatically create a bridge of incidents that will lead to its physical expression. The universe guides you unfailingly along this bridge. I recall a young woman who attended my lectures years ago. She desired to be married to a man. She desired to be married to a specific man, but he showed no interest in her. Night after night, she fell asleep, feeling the wedding ring on her finger, hearing friends congratulate her, feeling the presence of her husband beside him in bed. Within 3 months, against all outer evidence, that very man proposed to her. The universe guided her by responding to her dominant state of consciousness. Now, some will say this is mere coincidence. Others will claim she somehow influenced the man psychologically. Both missed the point entirely. She did not change the man. She changed herself in changing her concept of self, seeing herself as the beloved wife rather than the ignored admirer. She entered a new relationship with the entire universe, including that man. He had no choice but to play the part assigned to him in her revision of self. This brings us to another crucial aspect of how the universe guides you. It responds not to your desires, but to your concept of self. You may desire wealth fervently, But if you maintain a self-concept of one who struggles financially, your desire will be frustrated. The universe guides you according to who you believe yourself to be. Therefore, the greatest act of manifestation is the transformation of your self-concept. When you truly know yourself to be great, greatness must follow. As surely as night follows day, this is not egotism or delusion. It is aligning with your divine nature, for you are not merely a human being seeking spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Let us explore this further. The self-concept is formed of your habitual thoughts and feelings about yourself. These thoughts are often so deeply ingrained that you accept them without question. I am unlucky. I am not creative. Success is difficult for me. These are not facts. They are assumptions. And all assumptions can be changed through the conscious use of imagination. Revise your self-concept by mentally constructing scenes that imply you are who you wish to be. If you wish to be wealthy, create a scene where you are discussing your financial abundance with a friend. Make it brief, make it natural, but most importantly, make it imply the fulfillment of your desire. Repeat this scene until it feels more real than its absence. The universe guides you through the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true, consciously or unconsciously, will harden into fact in your experience. This is why casual negative assumptions are so dangerous. When you say nothing ever works out for me, you are instructing the universe to ensure exactly that outcome. Your word, your assumption is quite literally your wand of fulfillment. Now, let me address something that troubles many seekers. The matter of effort. There is a prevailing belief that manifestation requires strain, visualization, exercises of patience, repeated thousands of times. I tell you, the universe guides you not through effort, but through the intensity of your conviction. One moment of complete acceptance is worth more than years of trying. The feeling is the secret. When you capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persist in it, you have found the secret of manifestation. The feeling is both the means and the end. Feel wealth and you will be wealthy. Feel health and you will be healthy. Feel love and you will be loved. The universe responds not to your words or actions, but your dominant feeling tones. Consider a man who desires promotion at work. He may affirm daily that he deserves advancement. He may visualize sitting in the executive office, but if his feeling tone is one of unworthiness or anxiety, these will be the seeds that bear fruit. Instead, let him capture the feeling of satisfaction that would be his upon achieving the promotion. Let him feel the handshakes of congratulation, the pride in telling his family, the confidence as he occupies his new position. This feeling persisted and will draw to him the circumstances necessary for its fulfillment. The universe guides you by responding to your emotional states. Emotion is energy in motion. The propelling force behind manifestation. Your desires will manifest not when you want them most desperately, but when you feel most naturally that they are already yours. This brings us to another critical point. Manifestation occurs most readily in the absence of desperation. When you need something so badly that you are consumed by the need, you are actually affirming its absence. You are declaring to the universe, I do not have this, and my happiness depends upon getting it. This state of consciousness can only produce more of its own lack. Instead, cultivate a state of grateful acceptance. Even before your desire appears physically, thank the universe for its fulfillment. Live in the calm certainty that what you have assumed in consciousness must objectify. This attitude of relaxed confidence is magnetic to your good. I once knew a man who had been unemployed for months. He came to me in desperation, having tried everything to secure work. I instructed him to fall asleep each night as though you were returning from a satisfying day at a wonderful job, not visualizing a specific employer, but feeling the satisfaction of meaningful work and financial security. Within 2 weeks, he received 3 job offers, one of which was far better than anything he had previously imagined possible. The universe guided him not through his frantic search, but through his assumption of employment as an already established fact. Now, there is another aspect of universal guidance that is often overlooked, the matter of timing. Many abandon their manifestation practices because their desires do not materialize on their preferred schedule. They fail to understand that the universe operates according to divine timing, not human impatience. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to check its progress. You water it, you provide the conditions for growth, and you trust in the natural process of germination. So it is with your desires. Plant them in consciousness through the feeling of the wish fulfilled, then allow the universe to bring them to fruition in its perfect timing. This requires faith, not blind faith in an external power, but faith in the law of consciousness itself. It requires knowing that what is impressed in consciousness must express. There is no question of if only when, and the way it is determined not by calendars and clocks, but by the intensity and persistence of your assumption. Let me share with you now one of the most powerful manifestation techniques I have ever discovered: revision. The past exists only in memory, and memory can be altered through the conscious use of imagination. If today has brought disappointment or failure, revise it before you sleep. Replace the unwanted event with one that would have satisfied you. Feel the revised scene as vividly as you felt the original. This practice does something remarkable. It alters not just your memory, but the trajectory of your manifestation. For whatever you take with you into sleep impresses your subconscious mind, and your subconscious knows no difference between an actual event and one vividly imagined. By revising the day, you literally rewrite your past and consequently your future. I recall a businessman who had botched an important presentation, losing a significant contract. That night, instead of replaying the failure, he revised the scene. In imagination, he heard the client praising his presentation and eagerly signing the contract. He fell asleep in this assumption. 3 days later, the client called unexpectedly, saying he had reconsidered and wanted to move forward after all. This was not coincidence. This was the law of revision at work. The universe guides you to the principle of revision by allowing you to alter the past in consciousness, thereby changing the patterns that determine your future. Your past is simply your beliefs about what has occurred, and beliefs can be changed. Now, as we consider how the universe guides you to manifest greatness, we must address a fundamental truth. There is no one else. There's only consciousness expressing itself in myriad forms. What you see as separate individuals are really aspects of your own consciousness pushed out. This is not solipsism. It is the recognition that consciousness is the only reality, and your individual consciousness is one with the universal consciousness. This understanding transforms how you relate to others in your manifestation practice. You do not need to change others. You need only change your consciousness of them. As you revise your concept of another person, they must conform to your revised concept, not through manipulation, but through the law of consciousness. If there is someone in your life who seems hostile or uncooperative, do not try to change their behavior directly. Instead, create a scene in imagination where they are exactly as you would like them to be. Hear them saying the words you long to hear. Feel the satisfaction of harmonious interaction. Persist in this assumption and they will change. Not because you have controlled them, but because you have changed your consciousness of them. The universe guides you by reflecting back to you your consciousness of others. Everything and everyone in your world is yourself pushed out. Change yourself, your assumptions about your relationship with anything, and the thing itself must change. This brings us to perhaps the most profound aspect of universal guidance, the recognition that you are not manifesting things or conditions at all. You are manifesting states of consciousness. The outer world is a shadow, a reflection of inner states. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes effortless. Instead of struggling to change conditions, simply enter the state of consciousness that would be yours if conditions were already changed. Live from that state. Make it your dwelling place. The conditions must then rearrange themselves to match your new state of consciousness. I know a woman who desired financial freedom. Rather than focusing on specific dollar amounts or investment strategies, she cultivated the state of consciousness of one who is financially free. She felt the relief, the security, the generosity that financial freedom would bring. Within 6 months, through a series of events that no one could have predicted, she received an inheritance, a promotion, and an investment opportunity that together created exactly the financial freedom she had assumed in consciousness. The universe guided her not to specific actions, but to the embodiment of a state from which the right actions naturally flowed. This is crucial to understand. Right action follows right consciousness. When you dwell in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you will be guided unerringly to take the actions that lead to its manifestation. Now, let us address an aspect of manifestation that troubles many. What are those desires that seem impossible? What of physical healing when doctors have pronounced a condition incurable? What of financial abundance when one is deeply in debt? What of love when one has experienced nothing but rejection? I tell you this, nothing is impossible to the one who understands the law of consciousness. The word impossible exists only in a dictionary of fools. In consciousness, all things are possible. The universe guides you beyond seeming impossibilities by urging you to revise your concept of what is possible. When something appears impossible, it is not the thing itself that blocks you. It is your belief in its impossibility. Change the belief and you change the outcome. This is not positive thinking. This is the recognition of the absolute malleability of reality in response to consciousness. Consider the biblical story of the centurion who came to Jesus seeking healing for his servant. Jesus offered to go to the servant, but the centurion replied, "Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof. Just say the word and my servant will be healed." Jesus marveled at his faith, saying, "Go your way as you have believed, so let it be done for you." And the servant was healed in that very hour. This story illustrates a profound truth. Healing indeed. All manifestation occurs not through external intervention, but through faith. And faith is nothing more than the unquestioning acceptance of a state as if it were already real. The centurion did not doubt. He knew that consciousness was the one and only reality. The universe guided him by responding to his conviction. So it is with you. Whatever you accept fully in consciousness must manifest in your experience. If it has not yet appeared, you have not yet fully accepted it. There remains some doubt, some contradiction in your consciousness that prevents its expression. The solution is not to try harder, but to achieve a deeper acceptance. Fall in love with the state of the wish fulfilled. Make it so natural, so much a part of you that to experience anything else would seem strange. This complete naturalization of the state is the secret of effortless manifestation. Now, let me share with you what may be the most important insight of all. The universe guides you to greatness through self-love, not the narcissistic self-absorption that passes for self-love in popular discourse, but the profound recognition of your divine nature. When you truly love yourself, when you recognize yourself as the operant power, the God in action within your world, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing for self-love creates a consciousness of worthiness, and the universe can give you only what you believe yourself worthy of receiving. Many seekers struggle with manifestation because at deepest level, they do not believe themselves deserving of their desires. They may affirm abundance while unconsciously feeling unworthy of it. They may visualize perfect health while secretly believing they deserve illness as punishment for some past misdeed. These contradictions in consciousness must be resolved before manifestation can occur. The universe guides you by reflecting your self-concept with perfect accuracy. As you cultivate genuine self-love, not as a technique, but as the recognition of your true identity, your outer world must reflect that love back to you in countless forms. Practice seeing yourself through the eyes of love. Speak to yourself as you would to someone precious beyond measure. Forgive yourself completely for all perceived failures and shortcomings. As you do this, you raise your consciousness to a level where manifestation becomes spontaneous and joyful. I once counseled a woman who had spent decades trying various manifestation techniques without success. When we explored her consciousness, we discovered a deep-seated belief that she was fundamentally flawed and undeserving of good. This belief, operating beneath her conscious awareness, negated all her affirmations and visualizations. I instructed her to spend 30 days practicing radical self-love. Each night before sleep, she was to mentally review her day, blessing every aspect of herself, her body, her mind, her emotions, even her perceived failures. Within 2 weeks, she reported feeling lighter, more peaceful. By the end of the 30 days, manifestations began appearing in her life, opportunities, relationships, resources that had previously been blocked by her self-rejection. The universe had been guiding her all along, reflecting her consciousness with perfect fidelity. As she changed her consciousness of self, the universe could at last deliver the greatness that had always been her birthright. Now, as we draw toward the conclusion of our discussion, let me emphasize a truth that many teachers of manifestation overlook. The purpose of manifestation is not merely the acquisition of things or experiences, but the expansion of consciousness. The universe guides you to greatness, not so that you may accumulate possessions, but so that you may know yourself as the creator of your reality. Each desire fulfilled reveals more of your divine nature to you. Each manifestation confirms the law of consciousness and deepens your understanding of your true identity. This is the ultimate purpose of the manifestation process, self-realization. When you manifest from this understanding, your desires themselves transform. No longer do you seek things to fill a sense of lack. You manifest as a joyful expression of your abundance. No longer do you chase experiences to escape your present. You create as an extension of your fullness. This shift in consciousness from manifesting to have to manifesting to express is the hallmark of spiritual maturity. The universe guides you to this maturity through the very process of fulfilling your desires. As you succeed in manifesting your wishes, you come to recognize the creative power that is your true essence. This recognition is the greatest manifestation of all. Let me leave you with this final thought. The universe, that infinite intelligence that pervades all things, guides you to greatness, not through external signs or complicated rituals, but through the simple yet profound law of consciousness. What you are conscious of being, you must manifest. There is no exception to this law. Therefore, be conscious of greatness. Assume it, feel it, live from it now, not as something to be achieved, but as the truth of who you already are. Fall asleep each night in the assumption of greatness fulfilled and watch as the universe rearranges itself to express that greatness in your outer world. I am not asking you to believe me. I am asking you to test this law for yourself, for truth is never truly known until it is experienced. Take your most heartfelt desire, apply these principles faithfully for 30 days and observe the results. The universe will guide you to the manifestation of that desire surely as tomorrow's sun will rise. Remember, always imagination creates reality. Your consciousness is the one and only creative power. The universe guides you to greatness by responding precisely to your state of consciousness. Change your conception of self and you change your world. Go now in the knowledge of your divine creative power. Go with the certainty that the universe guides you unfailing toward the expression of your greatness. Go in the awareness that the God of which I speak is your own wonderful human imagination, and through its conscious use, all things are possible to you. For the kingdom of heaven is within you, and the universe guides you to manifest that kingdom in all its glory here and now in your earthly experience. This is the promise. This is the law. This is the truth that sets you free. Now let me tell you a secret. The world you perceive is nothing more than the outpicture in a way you have placed your focus. Everything in your world, every circumstance, every relationship, every material condition is the harvest of seeds you have sown with your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows and manifestation follows. You see the creative power that sleeps within you responds not to idle wishes or fleeting thoughts, but to the state upon which you have placed your focus with conviction. The Bible tells us, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, but thinking is not enough. It is the sustained focus of thought imbued with feeling that reshapes your reality. I once knew a man who desired financial abundance. He would affirm daily, I am wealthy, yet continue to dwell in thoughts of lack, scarcity, and limitation. His words proclaimed abundance, but his focus remained fixed on absence, and so absence persisted in his experience. His focus, you see, was divided. Now let me clarify what I mean by focus. Focus is not concentration that creates tension. True focus is the natural consequence of fascination. When you are fascinated by something, your attention is effortlessly drawn to it. This is the kind of focus that transforms. To create a new reality, you must become so fascinated with your desired state that it consumes your consciousness. You must live from it, view the world through its lens, and respond to life as though your desire were already an accomplished fact. This is the new level of focus required for manifestation. The great tragedy is that most people focus intently on what they do not want, and then marvel at why these unwanted things keep appearing in their lives. Do you not see? Whatever commands your focus multiplies in your experience regardless of whether you want it or not. The outer world is dead. It has no power to create, no power to cause. It is simply effect and echo, a shadow of your inner focus. Change your focus and you change your world. This is the law. Now, what does this new level of focus look like in practice? It requires 4 elements: clarity, consistency, conviction, and detachment. First, clarity. You must know precisely what you desire. Vague wishes produce vague results. Define your desire in vivid detail. See it, feel it, touch it in your imagination. Make it as real to your senses as the chair you sit upon. I recall working with a young woman who wanted to find her ideal partner. When I asked her to describe this person, she gave only the most general description. Someone kind, she said, someone who loves me. I told her your focus lacks definition. Sharpen your vision. What values must this person embody? How do you feel in their presence? What kind of life do you share together? As she brought her desire to sharper focus, her manifestation accelerated. Second, consistency. A focused mind is one that returns again and again to the same assumption, building conviction through repetition. The world has changed not by sporadic bursts of imagination, but by the groove worn deep by consistent focus. Think of it this way. If you plant a seed and dig it up each day to check its progress, it will never grow. Similarly, if you assume your desire one moment, then return to the old state the next, you uproot the seed of manifestation before it can take root. Consistency of focus allows the seed to flourish unseen until it breaks through into expression. Consider the story in Scripture of the prophet Elijah. He sent his servant 7 times to look for signs of rain during a drought. The servant saw nothing to 6 times, but Elijah maintained his focus, knowing the rain would come. On the 7th time, the servant reported seeing a small cloud. From this tiny manifestation came abundant rain. Had Elijah abandoned his focus after the first or second attempt, the manifestation would have been aborted. Third, conviction. It is not enough to think about your desire, you must think from it. This is faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Conviction is the feeling that your desire is done, finished, complete in the invisible realm, and must, by law, appear in your visible world. Let me tell you of a man I knew who desired a promotion at work. For months, nothing happened, though he affirmed his desire daily. When I spoke with him, I discovered that he was affirming from a place of doubt. He was saying the words but did not believe them. I told him, you must convince yourself first. You must reach such conviction that even if the whole world denied it, you would stand unshaken in your assumption. He began to imagine each night, just before sleep, that his colleagues were congratulating him on his promotion. He felt their handshakes, heard their words, felt the joy in his heart. He did this with complete conviction, as though experiencing a memory rather than creating a fantasy. Within 3 weeks, he received the promotion, a position that had not even existed when he began his focused work. Fourth, detachment. This seems paradoxical, but true focus includes the ability to detach from the how and when of manifestation. Attachment creates anxiety, and anxiety dilutes focus. When you truly know that your desire is yours, you can release the urgency and desperate longing that indicates lack of faith. Detachment means you plant the seed, water it with attention, and then allow the invisible forces of creation to do their perfect work without interference. It is the opposite of indifference. It is supreme confidence that what is done in consciousness must appear in reality. Now, let me address a question that may have formed in your mind. If focus is so powerful, why do I sometimes focus intently on something and still not receive it? The answer is simple but profound. Your conscious focus must be aligned with your subconscious assumptions. You see, your subconscious mind holds beliefs about yourself and the world that may contradict your conscious wishes. And it is the subconscious that truly determines your focus. You may consciously focus on wealth while subconsciously believing you are unworthy of abundance. In such a case, your true focus, your subconscious focus, is on unworthiness, not on wealth. This is why I teach the technique of feeling the wish fulfilled as you fall asleep. In the drowsy state between wakefulness and sleep, the conscious mind relaxes its guard and the subconscious becomes receptive to new impressions. Impress upon your subconscious the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and your entire being, conscious and subconscious, will align in perfect focus. Let me tell you a personal story. Years ago, I desired to travel and lecture throughout the United States, sharing these principles with all who'd listen. At the time, I had no means, no connections, no invitations. But each night, I would fall asleep feeling the satisfaction of having completed successful lectures across the country. I felt the handshakes, heard the applause, experienced the gratitude of those whose lives had been transformed. I maintained this focus not for a night or a week, but consistently, and though the way was not immediately apparent, doors began to open. An invitation came from one city, then another. The means for travel appeared. Within a year, what had existed only in my focused imagination became my living reality. The Bible says, the light of the body is the eye. The light of the body is the eye. This is not speaking of the physical eye, but a focus where you place your attention. If therefore thine eye be single, if your focus be undivided, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if your focus is scattered, divided between what is and what could be, between faith and doubt, how great is that darkness? This is why a new level of focus is required for manifestation, not the ordinary focus that shifts and wavers with circumstances, but a transcendent focus that remains fixed on the invisible reality of your desire until it solidifies in the visible world. Now, there is a certain practice that I have found invaluable for developing this transcendent focus. Each day, preferably in the morning when your mind is fresh and in the evening before sleep, enter into a state of relaxation. Let your body become comfortable and your mind still. Then direct your attention inward to the center of your being, to that place where you know yourself to be I am. From this center, consciously choose where to place your focus. See your desire as accomplished. Step into the scene. Make it first person, present tense. Do not see it as something that will happen. Experience it as something that is happening now. Involve all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? Even what would you taste or smell in the state of your wish fulfilled? Remain in this state for at least 5 minutes, fully absorbed in the reality of your desire fulfilled. Then, throughout your day, when doubts arise, the old patterns of thought return, as they surely will gently bring your focus back to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This consistent redirection of focus is the discipline that leads to mastery. Let me share with you the testimony of a student who applied this principle of focused imagination. She had been estranged from her adult son for nearly a decade. No communication, no reconciliation despite many attempts. She came to understand that her focus had been on the estrangement itself, on the pain of separation, on all the reasons why reconciliation seemed impossible. I instructed her to shift her focus completely. Each night I told her, as you lie down to sleep, imagine hearing your son's voice on the telephone. Hear him express his love for you. Feel the warmth in your heart as reconciliation occurs. Fall asleep in this state. For 1 month, she maintained this focus with unwavering consistency. She reported that at first it was painful, as it highlighted the absence of what she desired, but gradually the imaginal scene began to feel more natural, more real. Then one day, without any action on her part, the telephone rang. It was her son. The conversation mirrored what she had been imagining, even specific phrases she had heard in her imaginal scene. You see, her new level of focus had reconstructed her reality. She did not convince her son to call. She simply shifted the focus of her own consciousness, and all parties involved in her reality rearranged themselves to match her new focus. This is the creative power that sleeps within you. You are not a helpless observer of your life. You are its author. But authorship requires focused attention on the story you wish to write. Now, some of you may be thinking, this sounds like magical thinking. The world is real, solid, governed by physical laws, and to this I say the physical universe is indeed governed by law, but it is the law of consciousness, not the laws of physics, that is fundamental. Physics describes the behavior of manifestation. Consciousness is the source of what manifests. Science itself is now confirming what the mystics have always known, that matter is not solid but is mostly empty space, that of article populating an out of existence, that observation of behavior of particles. In other words, focused conscious attention directly impacts physical reality. Quantum physics speaks of the observer effect, where the mere act of observation changes the behavior of subatomic particles. Is this not precisely what I am describing? Your focus, your observation, changes the very fabric of your reality. Think about it this way, your world is not outside you. The world you experience is a projection from within, filtered through your focus. Change your focus and you change the projection. This is not fantasy, this is the fundamental nature of reality. Consider the placebo effect, scientifically documented countless times. A patient believes they are receiving medicine, though they are given a sugar pill, and their body responds as though they received the actual medicine. Their focus, their belief, created physiological changes. This is not anomalous, it is a glimpse into the true creative process. But here is where many stumble. They try to use the power of focus as a technique, while still believing in the supremacy of external conditions. They affirm abundance while believing in the reality of their limitation. They visualize health while believing in the power of their disease. Their focus is divided, and a divided focus cannot create coherently. A new level of focus requires a new understanding of the nature of reality. You must grasp, not intellectually but experientially, that the world shapes itself around your focus. As within, so without, as above, so below. This is the Hermetic principle that has been taught through the ages. Let me offer a practical exercise to develop this new level of focus. I call it living from the end. For the next 30 days, choose one desire that you wish to manifest. Make it something believable to you, yet not currently present in your life. Each morning upon waking, each evening before sleeping, and at least once during the day, close your eyes and enter the state of your wish fulfilled. Experience it with all your senses. Feel the emotion that accompanies its fulfillment. Give thanks for its completion. Then open your eyes and proceed with your day, but maintain the feeling that your desire is already accomplished. When you speak, speak from this assumption. When you act, act from this assumption. When you think from this assumption. At first, this will require conscious effort. You will catch yourself reverting to old patterns of focus. When this happens, do not condemn yourself. Simply notice and gently bring your focus back to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Persistence is key. Remember, you are establishing a new pattern of focus, and all new patterns require repetition until they become automatic. After 30 days of this practice, your subconscious mind will begin to accept your new focus as reality. And when the subconscious accepts something as real, it must externalize it in your experience. This is law. Now, I must address a critical point. This new level of focus cannot coexist with fear, worry, or anxiety. These emotional states indicate focus on what you do not want, and what you focus on expands. When fear arises, it will recognize it as a signal that your focus has shifted to an undesired outcome. Then, consciously redirect your focus to the desired state. There is a passage in Scripture that beautifully illustrates this principle. Jesus was with his disciples in a boat when a storm arose. The disciples were terrified, focusing on the dangers of the storm. Jesus was asleep, undisturbed. When they woke him, he rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. Then he said to his disciples, "Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith?" The disciples' focus was on the storm, on what they feared. Jesus' focus remained on perfect peace and safety, regardless of appearances. His unwavering focus on the desired state calmed the waters. This is not merely a historical account or a miracle performed by someone special. It is a demonstration of the power available to anyone who maintains the proper focus. You are not required to calm literal storms, but you are called to calm the storms of circumstance in your life through proper focus. When the evidence of your senses contradicts your desire, will you focus on the temporary facts or on the eternal truth of your creative power? There is another aspect of focus that is rarely discussed, but vitally important. Your focus should not only be on the fulfillment of your desire, but on the consciousness of already being the person who has that desire fulfilled. In other words, focus on being, not just having. If you desire wealth, focus not merely on having money, but on being wealthy in consciousness. How does a wealthy person think? How do they feel about money? How do they make decisions? Focus on embodying these qualities now, regardless of your current financial situation. If you desire a loving relationship, focus not merely on finding a specific person, but on being loving in consciousness. How does a person who is deeply loved and loving think? How do they feel? How do they interact with others? Embody these qualities now, and the specific manifestation will follow. This shift from having to being is a profound one. It moves your focus from external conditions to internal states where true creative power resides. External conditions will always change and can be lost. What you become in consciousness is eternal and can never be taken from you. I knew a woman who desperately wanted to be married. Her focus was entirely on finding a husband, as though a piece of herself was missing and needed to be found externally. Despite numerous relationships, fulfillment eluded her. When we spoke, I suggested that she shift her focus from finding love to being loved, to embodying the consciousness of someone in a loving, fulfilling marriage. She began to focus on feeling complete within herself, appreciating her own company, making decisions from a place of partnership, even while physically alone. Within her own consciousness, she lived as though her perfect marriage was already a reality. She focused on gratitude for her wonderful husband, though no physical man was present. Within 3 months, she met a man who perfectly matched the consciousness she had been embodying. Their connection was immediate and deep, and they married within a year. But here is the interesting part. She later told me that even if she hadn't met him, she had already found what she was truly seeking, the feeling of completeness, connection, and love that she thought could only come from a relationship. This is the paradox of manifestation through focus. When you focus on lacking something and needing to get it, you perpetuate the consciousness of lack. When you focus on already being, and having what you desire, you establish the consciousness of fulfillment, and the external must follow suit. Let us return to the core of our discussion. Everything you desire requires a new level of focus, not the divided, wavering focus of the undisciplined mind, but the single-pointed, unwavering focus of one who knows their creative power. This focus is not strain or tense. It is the natural absorption in a beloved idea. It is falling in love with your vision so completely that it occupies your mind effortlessly. This kind of focus generates energy rather than depletes it. I urge you to take inventory of where your focus currently resides. What occupies your mental attention throughout the day? What thoughts do you return to habitually? What emotions dominate your inner landscape? These are the seeds that are growing into the circumstances of your life. If you do not like what you see manifesting in your experience, do not waste energy fighting against it or resisting it. All resistance amplifies. Instead, shift your focus completely to what you desire to experience. Give it your attention, your emotion, your conviction. Water this new seed with consistent focus until it crowds out the unwanted growth. Remember, the external world has no power over you except the power you give it through your focus. When you know this, truly know it, not just intellectually, but in the depths of your being, you become the master of your faith, the captain of your soul. Now there is one final aspect of focus I must address, and it is perhaps the most important. The highest use of this creative power is not for material gain or personal advantage, though these are natural byproducts. The highest use is for the expansion of consciousness itself, for the realization that you are more than you appear to be. Focus ultimately on the grandest version of yourself, on the divine potential that sleeps within you. Focus on embodying love, wisdom, compassion, creativity. Focus on expressing the fullness of your being, for in the end all external desires are merely symbols of the one true desire. To know yourself as a divine in expression, to experience yourself as the creative principle of the universe. When your focus shifts to this ultimate reality, all lesser manifestations arrange themselves harmoniously. You receive not only what you consciously desire, but what serves the highest expression of your being. You transcend the limitations of personal will and align with divine will, which always leads to greater freedom, greater joy, greater fulfillment than the personal mind could imagine. So I say to you tonight, everything you desire requires a new level of focus. Not more effort, not more struggle, not more sacrifice, but a new quality and direction of attention. Focus determines experience. Focus on problems and problems multiply. Focus on solutions and solutions appear. Focus on lack and lack persists. Focus on abundance and abundance grows. Focus on love and love surrounds you. Focus on limitation and you remain confined. Focus on possibility and your world expands. The choice is always yours in each moment. Your power is not in some distant future when conditions improve. Your power is now in the focus you choose in this moment and the next after that. Begin tonight. As you leave this place, consciously direct your focus to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Maintain this focus despite all evidence to the contrary. Return to when you waver. Strengthen it when you doubt. Live from it when appearances mock it, and watch as the invisible gradually becomes visible as your focus creates your reality. You are the operant power in your universe. You are the focus through which the infinite expresses itself. You are not merely human, you are divine, and your focus is the instrument of your divinity. Feel it now. Know it now. Live from it now, and watch as your world transforms before your very eyes. Remember the words of the psalm, "Be still and know that I am God." In that perfect stillness of mind, in that single-pointed focus of the divine within, all things become possible. For when you truly know that the I am within you is God, there is nothing to fear, nothing impossible, nothing beyond your creative reach. Everything you desire requires a new level of focus. Give yourself that gift. Focus on the highest, the best, the most beautiful and true. Focus as though your fulfillment depends upon it, because it does. The world awaits your focus command. Speak it with conviction. Feel it with emotion. Know it with certainty and watch as the universe conspires to bring it into being. For this is the law and this is the promise. As within, so without. As above, so below. As you focus, so shall it be. Tonight you have been given the key. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it with conviction, and all that you desire shall be added unto you. When you leave this place, do not return to old patterns of thought. Maintain your new awareness, your new focus. For you have not heard these words by accident. You were drawn here by your own readiness to receive this truth. Now, having received it, you must live it. Go forth in the confidence that the creative power of the universe flows through you, that your focus directs this power, and that as you maintain your focus on the fulfillment of your desires, nothing can prevent their manifestation. I have shared with you the secret of creation itself. Honor it with your practice. Prove it with your experience and share it through your transformed life. Everything you desire requires a new level of focus. Begin now and make this the foundation of a new and glorious chapter in your journey. For you are meant to have all that your heart truly desires, not through struggle and strain, but through the focused power of your divine imagination. Now let us close our eyes for a moment and feel the absolute truth of these words. Feel the presence of your fulfilled desire as a present reality. Know that it is done. Give thanks for its completion and carry this feeling with you as you go forward, maintaining your focus on the invisible reality until it becomes visible for all to see. Thank you and blessings on your journey of conscious creation. When I speak of letting them go, I am not speaking of physical separation, though that may sometimes follow. I am speaking of a mental and spiritual release, releasing others from your expectations, your demands, your need for them to fulfill some role you have assigned them in the drama of your life. This release is not for their sake, but for yours. For as long as you hold others in a fixed state in your imagination, demanding they change while you remain the same, you are bound to them in limitation. Let me share with you a principle that underlies all true manifestation. The outer world is nothing more than the projection of your inner assumptions. There is no world outside of your consciousness. What you see out there is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. The people in your life, their behaviors toward you, the circumstances you find yourself in, all are reflections, projections of your states of consciousness, your assumptions about yourself and the world. Many of you have heard me say, imagination creates reality, but tonight I wish to deepen your understanding of this law. Your imagination is not creating others, it is creating your experience of others. The difference is crucial. When you imagine on a person changing to suit your desires without any transformation in yourself, you are attempting to violate the most sacred gift given to all beings. You cannot change another, you can only change yourself, and in that change, transform your experience of them. Consider this: if you were the only being in existence and everything and everyone you perceive were but aspects of yourself projected outward, how would you approach transformation? Would you struggle and fight with these projections, demanding they change while you remain fixed in your ways? Or would you realize that the only point of power is within, in your consciousness, in your assumptions, in the feeling and tone of your inner conversations? I tell you, there is only one cause for the phenomena of life, and that cause is consciousness. Consciousness is the one and only reality. If you wish to change the effects in your life, you must change the cause, your consciousness. And the most direct way to change your consciousness is through the control and direction of your imagination. Now let us consider your relationships. Perhaps there is someone in your life who you believe must change for you to be happy, a partner who doesn't show love in the way you desire, a parent who doesn't respect your choices, a friend who betrays your trust, an employer who doesn't recognize your worth. You have tried to change them through external means, through conversations, arguments, withdrawal, manipulation, and yet they persist in being exactly who they are. This persistence is not a failure of your manifestation abilities. It is perfect success for you have been manifesting exactly what you have been conscious of. If you hold in your mind an image of another as flawed, limited, hurtful, they must play that part in your life. They have no choice, for the law is absolute. Consciousness is the only reality, and what you are conscious of you must experience. The great liberation comes when you truly understand that to change your experience of another, you need only change your consciousness of them. But as this is the great secret, you cannot authentically change your consciousness of another until you first change your consciousness of yourself. For what you see in others is always a reflection of what you believe about yourself. If you perceive betrayal in your world, ask yourself, where have I betrayed myself? If you perceive rejection, ask, where have I rejected my own nature, my own desires, my own truth? If you perceive lack of appreciation, ask, have I truly appreciated myself, honored my own gifts, acknowledged my own worth? The answers may surprise you, for we are often blind to our own self-betrayal, self-rejection, self-criticism. Yet these internal states are the true causes of our outer experiences. Change these and your world must change in response. So when I say focus on yourself and let them go, I am inviting you to the most profound spiritual practice, the practice of self-transformation through the deliberate choice of your state of consciousness. To enter a state where you feel yourself to be the person you desire to be, regardless of external evidence to the contrary. To persist in this state until it becomes your dominant feeling, your natural assumption about life. Let me give you a personal example from my own experience. Many years ago, I found myself in a situation where someone close to me was behaving in a way that caused me great distress. I wanted desperately for them to change, to see things from my perspective, to act differently. I spent countless hours in mental argument with them, rehousing all the reasons they should be different than they were. And yet, despite all my mental effort, nothing changed. In fact, the situation worsened. It was only when I realized the truth of what I now share with you that transformation occurred. I asked myself, what state am I occupying that is making this experience inevitable? How am I seeing myself that creates this reflection? The answer came with painful clarity. I was seeing myself as unworthy of respect, as someone who needed to fight for recognition. And so my world faithfully showed me this self-concept reflected in the behavior of another. The moment I changed my concept of self, when I assumed the feeling of being naturally respected and valued, my experience of this person transformed completely. I did not ask them to change. I did not demand or plead or manipulate. I simply changed my state of consciousness, and my world rearranged itself to match my new assumption. This is the law, and it works with mathematical precision for anyone who applies it. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Wayne, are you saying that I should simply accept mistreatment, that I should allow others to behave badly and do nothing? Not at all, my dear friends. I am saying something far more revolutionary. I am saying that what appears as mistreatment is itself a reflection of your state of consciousness, and that by changing your state, what appeared as mistreatment must either transform or remove itself from your experience. When you truly step into a new concept of self, one in which you are worthy, loved, respected, and free, those who cannot reflect this back to you will either transform in your experience or disappear from it altogether. This is not something you do to them. It is simply the law in operation. Like iron filings arranging themselves around a magnet, your experiences arrange themselves around your dominant state. So let them go. Release them from your expectations, your demands, your mental arguments. This does not mean you become a doormat or that you do not establish healthy boundaries. It means you stop trying to change them through external means and instead focus on the one point of power you truly have, your own state of consciousness. How do you do this in practical terms? Through the deliberate use of your imagination in the state I intend to sleep, that drowsy, receptive state before sleep or upon first awakening. In this state, consciousness is most impressionable. It is here that you plant the seed of your new reality. Do not imagine others changing. Instead, imagine yourself experiencing the state that their change would bring you. If you desire respect from another, feel yourself respected. If you desire love, feel yourself loved. If you desire freedom, feel yourself free. The feeling is the secret, not the specific person or circumstance. And here is another crucial point. When you imagine your desired state, it must be from the consciousness of it being done, complete, already a fact. You do not wish for it. You do not hope for it. You do not pray for it to happen in some future time. You enter the state of consciousness where it is done now, and you view the world from that state. Many fail in manifestation because they approach it from a consciousness of lack, of needing, wanting, hoping. But the law responds not to what you want, but to what you are. It is your state of being that determines your experience, not your desires. Desire is simply the impulse that moves you toward a new state, but it is in the assumption of the state fulfilled that the creative power lies. So tonight I invite each of you to a new practice. Before you sleep, enter that drowsy state where consciousness is most impressionable. Then, instead of reviewing the disappointments and frustrations of your day, especially those involving others, consciously select a scene that implies your desire fulfilled. Not others changing, but you experiencing the state that their change would bring. Feel the naturalness of this state. Sense its reality. Enjoy the feeling of it accomplished. Then drift into sleep from this consciousness. Do this night after night, and you will be astonished at how your outer world begins to conform to this inner assumption. During your waking hours, whenever you catch yourself focusing on others, criticizing them, wishing they would change. Feeling frustrated by their behavior, gently bring your attention back to yourself. Ask, what state am I in that is creating this experience? What would be the feeling if my desire were fulfilled right now? Then, as best you can, enter that state and view your world from it. This practice requires vigilance and persistence, for your habitual patterns of thought are strong. The tendency to blame, to focus outward, to demand that others change is deeply ingrained. But each time you catch yourself and redirect your attention inward, you strengthen your power to choose your state consciously. And remember, the state you choose must feel natural to you. If it feels like pretense, like fantasy, it will not take root in your consciousness. This is why I emphasize the feeling, the emotional tone of the state desire. When you capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you make it feel as natural as your current reality feels now, then the bridge of incidents that leads to its physical manifestation is automatically set in motion. I have tested this law in innumerable ways in my own life and witnessed its operation in the lives of countless others. It never fails. Consciousness is the only reality, and what you are conscious of you must experience. Change your consciousness, and you change your world. Now, there is another aspect of letting go that we must address. Not only must you let go of others in the sense of releasing them from your expectations and demands, but you must also let go of your attachment to specific outcomes and timing. Many of you have heard the phrase detachment in spiritual teachings, but few truly understand its meaning. Detachment is not indifference or lack of desire. It is the profound understanding that what you seek is already yours in consciousness, and therefore you can release the anxiety, the need, the desperate grasping that comes from believing it is separate from you. When you truly know that what you desire is already accomplished in consciousness, when you have captured the feeling tone of your wish fulfilled and made it natural, then you can release it completely, confident that its outer manifestation is assured by law. This is true detachment, and it is essential for manifestation. For as long as you are anxiously looking for signs of your desire's fulfillment, as long as you are checking to see if it's working, you are actually affirming its absence. You are occupying a state of consciousness that says, it is not here, and I need evidence that it's coming. From this state, you can only manifest more evidence of absence, more need for proof. The master manifester assumes the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and then releases it completely, turning their attention to the present moment, confident that what is done in consciousness must express itself in experience when the time is right. They do not make their happiness or peace contingent on the manifestation. They are already experiencing the state that the manifestation would bring. This is the ultimate meaning of focus on yourself and let them go. Focus on your state of consciousness, on the feeling tone of your being, and let go of all concern about external conditions and others' behaviors. Trust that as you maintain the desired state in consciousness, all outer circumstances must rearrange themselves to reflect this inner reality. I am often asked, but Wayne, how long will it take? When will I see results? And my answer is always the same. It takes as long as it takes for the new state to become your dominant feeling, your natural assumption. For some, this happens in an instant. For others, it requires days or weeks of persistent assumption. The variable is not the law, which is absolute, but your ability to naturalize the new state. If you have spent years assuming a certain self-concept, seeing others in a fixed way, it may take time and persistence to establish a new pattern. But I promise you this, every moment spent in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled moves you closer to its expression in your outer world. There is no loss in the economy of God. No effort is wasted. And here is something else to consider. The moment you truly capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you have it. The inner experience is the reality. The outer manifestation is but its shadow. Many of you are so fixated on the shadow that you miss the substance that is already yours in consciousness. Learn to enjoy the state itself, independent of its outer confirmation. If you desire a loving relationship, for example, capture the feeling of being loved and appreciate that feeling for its own sake. Revel in it. Enjoy it. Let it fill your consciousness. In doing so, you are experiencing the substance of your desire, and the shadow must follow by law. This brings us to another crucial aspect of letting go, releasing the past. Many of you are bound to your past experiences, carrying them forward into your present and projecting them into your future. You have had experiences of betrayal, rejection, failure, and you hold these as evidence of what is real or possible for you. But I tell you, the past exists only in your memory. It has no power to create your future except through your continued consciousness of it. When you truly understand that consciousness is the only reality, you realize that you are free at any moment to create a new future regardless of what has gone before. Your past does not define you unless you continue to identify with it. Your previous relationships do not determine your future relationships unless you carry forward the same assumptions. You are free now in this very moment to choose a different state, to assume a different self-concept, and in so doing to create an entirely new future. This is true forgiveness, not the forgiveness that says you did something wrong, but I'll overlook it. Rather, it is the profound realization that there is nothing to forgive because what you experienced was but the reflection of your own state of consciousness at that time. As you shift your consciousness, you automatically release the past and all involved in it. So focus on yourself, not your surface self with all its habits and history, but your true self, your consciousness, which is God in individualized expression. For that is what you are, God pushed out into expression as the unique being that you are. Your consciousness is God consciousness, your imagination is God imagination, your creative power is God power. When you truly grasp this, you understand that focusing on yourself is not selfishness, it is the ultimate responsibility. For in transforming your own consciousness, you transform your world. And since all of us share the one consciousness differentiated into seemingly separate beings, your transformation contributes to the transformation of all. This is the esoteric meaning behind the command to love your neighbor as yourself. It is not merely a moral injunction, it is a metaphysical fact. Your neighbor is yourself pushed out. What you see in others is what you have first seen and accepted in yourself. Love yourself. Accept yourself as a divine being that you truly are, and you automatically extend this love and acceptance to all you encounter. And now we come to perhaps the most challenging aspect of our subject, loving yourself enough to let go of those who cannot or will not reflect your highest vision of yourself back to you. This does not mean condemning them or judging them. It means releasing them to their own journey while you focus on yours. If you have been in relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendly, where you feel diminished, unappreciated, or constrained, it may be time to redirect your energy, not necessarily by ending the physical relationship, though that may sometimes be the natural outcome, but by ending your psychological and emotional dependence on their approval or understanding. Many of you stay in situations that drain your energy and dim your light because you fear being alone or because you believe you can eventually change the other person. But as we have established, you cannot change another, you can only change yourself. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do, both for yourself and for them, is to release them from your expectations and focus on your own transformation. Remember, this is not abandonment, it is respect for their journey and commitment to your own. As you shift your focus to your own consciousness, raising it to higher states of love, fulfillment, and peace, one of two things will happen. Either they will be drawn up along with you into this higher vibration, or the relationship will naturally dissolve, making way for connections that better reflect your new state. Either outcome is perfect because both serve your evolution and theirs. This is the true meaning of all things work together for good. Not that everything that happens is inherently good, but that all experiences, when approached from the consciousness of your deep nature, contribute to your awakening and expansion. So tonight, as you contemplate this teaching, I invite you to take inventory of your relationships. Where are you focusing on changing others rather than transforming yourself? Where are you demanding that reality conform to your desires without first establishing the corresponding state in consciousness? Where are you holding others responsible for your happiness or fulfillment? Then, with compassion for yourself and others, begin the practice of shifting your focus inward, not in narcissistic self-absorption, but in recognition that the kingdom of heaven is within you, and it is from this inner kingdom that all outer experiences are generated. Start small if you must. Choose one relationship or situation that has been challenging and apply this principle. Before sleep tonight, imagine yourself experiencing the state that a transformed relationship would bring. Feel the freedom, the joy, the peace. Make it real in your consciousness. Then release it completely, trusting the law to bring about the outer manifestation in its perfect timing. During your waking hours, whenever your attention is drawn to the other person's behavior or the external conditions, gently bring it back to your own state. Ask yourself, what am I assuming right now? What state am I occupying? Then consciously choose again, selecting the state that aligns with your desire rather than your history. This practice requires vigilance and commitment. The habitual mind will try to pull you back into old patterns of blame, criticism, and external focus. Each time it does, simply notice without judgment and redirect your attention to your state of being. Over time, this new pattern will become natural, and you will find yourself spontaneously maintaining higher states of consciousness. And remember, the goal is not to use this teaching to manipulate others or to get what your ego wants. The goal is to awaken to your true nature as a divine being, capable of creating consciously rather than by default. It is to move from being a victim of circumstances to being the author of your experience. It is to fulfill the true purpose of your existence, the full expression of God in your uniquely individualized form. As you practice focusing on yourself, on your consciousness, your assumptions, your feeling states, and letting go of others, you will discover a freedom and power that perhaps you have never known before. You will understand that you are not at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of your consciousness. You will know with absolute certainty that what you experience is what you are, pushed out into expression. And in this knowing, you will find peace. Not the peace that comes from controlling external conditions, but the peace that comes from mastering your internal condition. The peace of knowing that whatever happens outside, you remain in control of your state of being, your point of view, your experience of life. This is true freedom. Not freedom from circumstances, but freedom within circumstances. Freedom to choose your state regardless of what appears in the mirror of the world. Freedom to create consciously through the deliberate selection of the states you occupy. So tonight, as you lay your head upon your pillow, remember, focus on yourself and let them go. Enter the state that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. Feel its reality, its naturalness. Then sleep knowing that as you have assumed, so shall it be in your experience. The law is absolute and it never fails. What you are conscious of, you must experience. Change your consciousness and you change your world. This is the promise and the challenge I leave with you tonight. My dear friends, we have explored together a profound truth that has the power to transform your life completely. Remember that you are not a helpless observer of your life circumstances, but the author of them through your consciousness. Your assumptions, beliefs, and the feeling tone of your inner world are constantly being projected outward as your experience. When you truly understand that focusing on yourself, on your state of consciousness, is the key to transformation, you free yourself from the exhausting effort of trying to change others. You recognize that letting others go is not abandonment, but the highest respect for their journey and yours. You see that in releasing your attachment to how others should be, you create space for them and you to become what you truly are. Practice these principles daily. Before sleep and upon waking, consciously select the state that implies your wish fulfilled. During your waking hours, vigilantly monitor your assumptions, choosing again whenever you find yourself focusing outward rather than inward. Trust the law implicitly, knowing that what is done in consciousness must objectify itself in your experience. And above all, remember that you are God individualized, the supreme creative power focused into expression as the unique being that you are. Honor this divine inheritance by using your imagination consciously, lovingly, and wisely. For as you transform your consciousness, you transform your world, and in doing so contribute to the transformation of all. The choice is always yours in every moment. Choose wisely, choose lovingly, and watch as your world reshapes itself to reflect the glory of your true being. God bless you, my dear friends, and may you go forth in the joy and power of this understanding.